for you. That was the first section of the midget girls 1,500 meters.
And we'll go ahead and set up, as the athletes finish, we'll go ahead and set up section number 2. It'll be Catherine Thronson of Spokane Mercury, Haley Enderly of the Junior Striders, Sydney Tulai from the Equalizers, Peyton Zupil unattached, Cassandra Killamore from Jackson Track Club, JuliaBounds from Oak Hill Racing, Laura Gregory from Fort Collins, Lauren Turner from Team Bliss. It'll be Brooke Woodson from Texas Shooting Stars, Sydney Wynn from the Pacers Track Club, Natalie Donkel from Madison Westside, Catherine Copeland from Speed Unlimited, Jolene Whittley from Cheney Track Club, Kyra Carroll from United Stars, Taylor Hill from San Luis Distance, Ariel Whited from Barron Park Striders, Sivian Arkbach from Palo Alto, Amani Williams from Track Houston, and Mary Blankenmeyer from Eldon Sharks. Those are your participants in section number 2. Looks like the fastest time, we have a lot in here, we'll look down, that might be, I think I see a 10:38, and that is Tulai from the Equalizers. Right there is also Kyra Carroll, 10:39 from the United Stars. Tulai wearing hip number 3, and Carroll wearing hip number 14. So we'll keep an eye on those two athletes.
And we saw Sydney Tulai out in Myrtle Beach, and I believe she was one of our medalists there. So the second section of the 3,000-meter run, you see them there on the track. They put them together in what's called a cascade, which is essentially that bow-shaped line at the start-finish line. They shoot the gun, and they are off. And I believe, I could be wrong, well, I'm not sure. I can't see the hip number. I was going to say it may have been Tulai that went out early.
And actually, that is hip number, I know I didn't see, it's hip number 18. I didn't think I read off 18 names, but I guess I did. So it is hip number 18, and that is actually Williams, Amani Williams from Track Houston, your early leader. And now, as soon as I said, I bet you that is Tulai, we'll see if we can see her hip number, because Tulai,
you see them out there. It is quite a number of runners, but already the pack has separated itself to some degree and is in a single file line. Get my mouth working here early this morning.
And that looks like hip number 16, Willite from the Barron Striders. Willite, your leader. That's hip number 5.
Again, this is the 3,000 meters, so they will run 8 laps when they are on the 7th of those. So early in the race here. But Willite of Barron Park Striders out early. And followed by Cassandra Callamore of the Jackson Track Club there in the neon green. And our early leader
was from Track Houston. That was Williams. She is now kind of moved back to 4th. That looks like hip number 14. That is Carol from the United Stars. She moves up to 2nd. So Carol in 2nd. Willite, your leader. We'll see who that is now that's moved into 3rd. But now it looks like Carol.
And midget girls, 11 and 12-year-olds, so we have 6th and 7th graders, so still runners learning, Al, what to do about pacing. I mean, certainly that's something that even professional athletes in distant races spend a lot of time trying to determine and develop what their personal strategy is based on their strengths and weaknesses. So as you might imagine, at 11 and 12, still a lot of effort on the part of the athlete to determine how fast and how slow. Do I lead? Do I trail? Do I draft? Do I go on the inside, outside? And all of those kinds of things involved. So we are 3 laps into the about to be 3 laps into the midget girls 3,000 meters. This is the second of the 2 final sections. We will crown a national champion. Madison Distelrath taking the first section with a time of 11:35.91. And so if our gold medalist is going to come from this second section, they will have to best Distal RAS 11:35.91 to do so. A group of 3 runners out there and literally running shoulder to shoulder.
And that's Woodson from Texas Shooting Stars on the inside.
And then right on her shoulder from the United Stars,
that is right. That's Carol.
Who we also saw in Myrtle Beach. And Carol has now gone out in front, and I believe you said she is behind her is Brooke Woodson of the Texas Shooting Stars, and on cue, Woodson goes back out in front. Still 5 laps to go, and it'll be, when they come back around to the finish line, when they come back around to the finish line, they will have a 1,500 meter to go. Now a move being made on the outside, trying to pass Carol in the neon top.
And that is Tulai.
Sydney Tulai, who came in, you mentioned she came in with our fastest qualifying time. And she was one of the medalists at the Outdoor Championships in Myrtle Beach. So Sydney Tulai now sitting just behind Woodson and Carol right on their shoulder. Be interesting to see whether or not she's content to just sit there, Al, for an additional, for the 1,500 meters that is to, actually I think they'll have 3 laps when they come through the finish line area. No, they will have 4, so they just finished 1,500 meters. Carol remains out in front from the United Stars. Woodson from the Texas Shooting Stars behind her. Now Sydney Tulai, there in the neon top, makes a move and puts herself into second place. Then coming up on her outside shoulder in the blonde with the...
That's Gregory. He ran hip number 7.
In the neon orange spikes, you see Gregory there, the small runner, has now put herself in third place right on the inside left shoulder of Sydney Tulai. Carol from the United Stars remains out in front in the light blue shorts with the red top. Now we've got a move on the outside going past Gregory and Tulai.
That's Bonds. And it's Bonds now moving up. So it's Bonds and Carol. Bonds in second, Carol in first.
JuliaBounds of Oak Hill Racing. They go past the water spray there. So it's Carol, Bonds, Tulai, and Gregory, 1, 2, 3, 4. As they come through the finish area, they'll have 3 laps remaining here in this midget girls 3,000 meter run. It is Carol, but as they come to the finish line, it looks like Bonds, it looked like she might swing around wide and go past her. However, she remains content for the present to stay right there on her shoulder. Looks like now we've got 2 water sprays. I'm sure it feels great. So Carol remains out in front. She surges ahead again. She's about 3 strides ahead of Bonds, and on cue, Bonds makes up the gap. Sydney Tulai remains in third. Gregory remains right behind her. The 2 of them, Tulai and Gregory, have been running at about the same pace for the 6 laps that we've completed thus far, so it'll be interesting to see if they continue like that until we've got about an 800 to go and then try to surge ahead of the field. Bonds does overtake Carol on the outside. Carol now in second. Sydney Tulai biding her time there behind Carol, and Gregory behind her. I believe both of them content to just make certain nobody gets far out ahead of them here. We will have an 800 to go when our leaders go past the finish line area. You see them coming down the track. That is Carol again, moving ahead of Bonds. Now Gregory and Tulai. Gregory on the outside, the shorter runner with the blonde hair and the neon orange spikes. Tulai in the neon top. And they do have an 800 meter to go, and Al, still only about 10 meters between first and fourth.
That is Carroll, followed by Bounds, or is it Bonds? I think it is Bonds.
It is.
Bonds. So Carroll, Bonds, Tulai, and Gregory. And now you see Tulai trying to come up on the outside shoulder of Bonds. Or Bounds, I guess you would say. Bounds. So Tulai. And now Gregory tries to go with Tulai.
Lauren Gregory of Fort Collins Track running behind Sydney Tulai from the Equalizers, and the two of them did, it look like, content themselves with just allowing Carroll and Bounds to run off some of the lead, but neither Carroll or Bounds are going to allow themselves to be run away from, at least not immediately. They will come down the front stretch there. They go through the water skirt, and they are going to take the bell lap. Carroll is not going to give this up easily. She goes back around on the outside, running right at the shoulder of Sydney Tulai. Gregory, to some degree, boxed in there on the inside, and JuliaBounds behind her in fourth. So it looks like we are going to have quite a race to the finish. They will come to the finish line. You see them there in your picture, and you see the official giving them the bell for the bell lap. We will see who is the least fatigued as they go through that final lap. As they head into the curve, it is Sydney Tulai out there in front in the neon green top, but on her shoulder, Carroll determined not to have led the entire race, to give it up right here at the end.
Yeah, that's Carroll on the outside, Tulai on the inside, Gregory in third, and Bounds. Now Bounds makes a move on the outside for Carroll. So it's Bounds, Carroll. Now Gregory tries to make a move. So Bounds now picks it up. Tulai falls back considerably. And now it is Bounds. She was saving it. It's Bounds, and Gregory now picks up steam as they get ready to come off the turn and into the home stretch. That's Bounds in the black, Gregory in the red and black. We'll see if Gregory positions herself. She's going to try to go on the outside. She picks it up.
Lauren Gregory trying to chase down JuliaBounds. Be interesting to see who has the most gas left. It is literally going to be a sprint to the finish at the final 10 meters of the 3,000 meters, and I believe it is JuliaBounds, Al, that held off Lauren Gregory. We'll have to see now what her time is to determine. Oh, and her time is 10:38:41. And so our national champion will, in fact, be, 10:38:03.
No, it's 10:38.
It's 10:38:41 belongs to Gregory, Lauren Gregory in second.